honor and the privilege today to be the youngest African American serving in the North Carolina General Assembly. But my story didn't start serving in Raleigh. My story started down at Winston-Salem State University. Where when I saw a community that I loved and cared about, that I didn't just talk about how I wanted to help my community. I got up and I ran for office because I wanted to make policy that made a difference in the lives of those that I saw every day. But that grew out of a moment. I was at Winston-Salem State University in 2008 when I was sitting in my dorm room in November of 2008. And I was watching television like many folks, and I watched CNN as they declared the race for president for Barack Obama. And on the campus of Winston-Salem State, if you were there, folks poured out of dorm rooms into the streets and began to celebrate. And in that moment, I thought that folks were celebrating because we just elected the first African-American president in the history of this country. But in retrospect, what people in my mind were celebrating was a hope that we had overcome the issues that had plagued this nation. And they were celebrating the belief that we had moved on from moments that would bring us together like this. There were tears in folks' eyes because they had hope that we were moving beyond moments like this because there was a person of color sitting in the White House. The reality is that the issues we face in our community are not removed by one person serving in the White House. We are faced with structural and systematic racism that requires us to tear down the walls of institutional racism. Institutional racism exists because we have 4 African Americans serving on the Winston-Salem City Council, yet we still have poverty. Institutional racism exists because we have 2 African Americans in the State House serving Forsyth County, but we still struggle. Institutional racism exists because we have an African American senator, we have African Americans on our county commissioners and our school board. It's not about just electing people of color, it's about tearing down the system that keeps us that we learn a new way to live. We learn a new way to operate. We learn a new way to engage. And in that moment, we become what we have hoped we could become. In that moment, we become the community that I believe in. The community that has showed up right here in this moment. I'll say this and then I'll get out of the way. I'm a pastor. If you can't tell, I'm not preaching. And so I see a lot of motivation from Scripture. And I was reminded today on a call about the story of Cain and Abel. And when Cain killed Abel, Scripture tells us that Abel's blood cried out. Come on. And when Abel's blood cried out, it evoked a response from a gracious God. And in this moment, I'm not just asking for a gracious God to respond, but in this moment, I'm asking, what will you do? Because there's blood crying out in our streets. And it's not just waiting on a God to respond, it's looking for you to do something. It's looking for you to show up. Taylor is crying out. The blood of Sandra Bland is crying out. The blood of Trayvon Martin is crying out. The blood of George Floyd is crying out. And the question is, what will you say to their blood? Will you say that you came and you marched and you showed up today? Or will you say But when I look at this crowd right here, I have a renewed sense of hope that the future is not as bleak as folks will want us to believe, but we have hope today because of each of you all out here today. There's blood crying out. What are you going to do about it?